Jill, thank you so very much. Believe me, the way you have presented this whole thing, I can just be there and we can talk for, hours to really learn from that itself. Because yes, you are very right. Like we all, and I'm sure that everybody will agree that we all have this kind of mindset that, okay, we're talking about non-violence, not as something which has to be a human natural part of us, but rather there is something which we have to adapt, which we have to really tell, we have to teach, we have to do that way. It has to become a natural process, and that is just like something which is like when somebody sings and then say that singing is so beautiful, but then some people get a headache because they are putting so much effort in that. It's just like that. It's just absolutely beautiful. I really would like to now invite Rahil Khan to say his thank you note actually for everybody, and of course for you. I think this was very inspiring, very thought provoking, and something to really take back and think about. How to do things in the right way rather than trying to put it like a force. So thanks again, Rahil.
Hi, Jill Carr-Harris. That was my question. You did answer it very nicely. So, बहुत धन्यवाद आपके लिए. So just as closing remarks, because I know that the caffeine from this morning has probably worked its way in people's system. So there's a massive bathroom rush about to happen after this lecture. So I'll just have a few remarks. I kind of recall Jill Carr-Harris. I kind of recall that from another venue. There's an anniversary of the Selma March happening this month. And there was a webinar event called This Isn't Your Grandparents' Movement. And it was trying to make the crosswalks between the civil rights movement and I guess younger people, younger activists. And I kind of felt that your talk, it kind of evokes the same spirit of the freedom movement of which Gandhi led among with other many people, men and women. It was a way of invoking the lessons from that movement across the generations to today. So I thought that was very helpful. And a number of the thoughts and currents that you articulate today are things that our board have been talking about and sometimes even clashing about the issue about creating nonviolent spaces versus the role of nonviolent protest. So I think it was a very kind of salient conversation piece that you raised. And the other point interesting that you mentioned about the role of happiness. Even if you are an activist or involved in protests, it's not necessarily a stressful and demoralizing endeavor. It should be something that actually brings more people in the tent over time and something that has joy associated with it, which is probably a perspective that I probably have not thought about. So I think there's a lot that you covered, a lot for us to think about. And there is a lot for us to maybe unpack to see how we can disseminate that to a broader audience. One of the challenges of our organization is to try and recreate Gandhi for our demographic groups for whom he is very far from their everyday consciousness. And I think you invoked the name of Greta Thunberg as maybe somebody who doesn't talk about Gandhi or even references Gandhi, but has a lot of a Gandhian ethos to her thoughts and her activities. So those are my thoughts to you. And I just want to thank you for the comprehensive and very profound lecture that you gave us. And there's much for us to reflect on and maybe come back to you as for further questioning and for further learning in the near future.